Hey everyone, Joe here. In today's video, I want to show you how to actually use BFD Player and kind of how to configure it. In the previous video, I showed you how to basically set it up and install it. So now this is kind of the continuation of that, and I'm going to actually show you how to configure the drums and set everything up and basically how to use BFD Player. So it's a pretty quick video, but still very interesting and one I want to show you. So let's hop over here to Bitwig Studio. Okay, everybody. So I have BFD Player opened up here in Bitwig Studio. Now, on the previous tutorial, I showed you how to set up all the channels and everything, and I actually showed you how to label them if you want to custom label yours. Now, mine, I have fairly simple labeling. I just labeled basically the kick and the others to kind of tell me what type of channel it is. And the reason I kind of left these more bland as far as namings and stuff go is because when you change the different presets and stuff in here, you may have like the toms and stuff move around to different channels. So kick is only really the one that starts out on mono 1. So that's the reason I only left the kick labeled kick. And I only really need one channel, one side chaining over to the bass anyway. So yeah, this works the best overall. However, when you go to different presets and stuff and you send them out to sequential channels, you're probably going to end up having to go back and reference inside the BFD Player here. Because like I said, if you labeled the snare on one, a couple of the presets for some reason have kick on the first 3 mono channels and then the snare and so on. So yeah, you get kind of the point here. It's not always consistent with each preset that within BFD Player. So I just left mono 1 labeled just kick because I only need one channel, one side chain, the bass anyway. All right. Now that said, for example, if you want to save your presets, you can save your presets what's inside BFD Player here. Click on the little down V arrow, whatever you want to call it. You can save user preset and save your own. And there's also other presets you can open up within it as well. Now, saving these presets here are good in case you go to a different desktop or different DAW. So that's there. However, if you want to just stay inside Bitwig Studio, I honestly recommend just save them in Bitwig Studio as its own preset. And if you right click on the actual plugin here within the devices section, you go down and save preset to library. That's what I recommend doing because it always saves things more consistently within Bitwig Studio, at least. Alrighty. So now let's talk about setting this up. And first I want to show you over here next to it where it says preset. And if you click that arrow again, we have a few options here. Now we got engine. This is a very important one here. We have key maps. You can remap the key mapping to an extent within here. Now, currently it's set to BFD Player, which is very similar to the general MIDI one. It follows fairly consistently. However, there's not going to be no cowbells or nothing in this one and so forth. But for the most part, most of your general MIDI is pretty close to BFD Player one. Although, like I said, it's not 1-to-1. If you have some aliases, drums and stuff, and all those other command pros and all different controllers and stuff within their own branding and marketing and their drum sets, what I'm trying to get at, they have a whole bunch of different ones listed there, as well as some M-Audio ones, some Roland ones, some Yamaha DTX ones. They are all presets. That way you can actually set it up and actually use them. And if you've used other ones like Addictive Drums and some Akai stuff and a few others, they're listed there as well. Now, if you're going to, like I said, come off like using like some general MIDIs, if you had some older files and stuff, like we all did back in the 90s and stuff, before MP3s become a thing that you can download. Most of us downloaded a lot of like MIDI songs. So if you're trying to bring those MIDI songs back out and kind of like bring new life into those old files, yeah, you just use the general MIDI one. It'll get you pretty close. All right. Like I said, though, I've left this one on BFD Player because I'm using a lot of the BFD stuff within the settings. And when you click it, it closes it, unfortunately. Now, you have a profile one here right below key map, and this one's kind of important. I forgot which one, but by default, if it's medium detail or full detail on the default ones, what I do know is a lot of times BFD Player will get kind of unstable and randomly won't actually fully crash. It just quits playing for some odd reason. So what I actually do is set mine to standard over 2 gigabyte of RAM, and which I have 64 in this system, but most systems will have well over 2 gigabyte RAM. I'm not sure what the deal is with somewhat medium detail, full detail, or economy detail. All I know is by default, whatever the setting is that it's set to all the time, it just crashes and stops playing. I think it's actually full detail. And like I said, I honestly don't know what the problem is because I have the resources on this system. It's a 5900X system, so I have 24 threads and 12 cores. Plus, it's like I said, it's 64 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm overkill for BFD player, but it still causes some problems. And like I said, it's not even a problem with my audio system, whatever, because the buffer is still way, way below. So I'm not sure why it crashes sometimes. All I know is setting to standard over 2 gigabyte of RAM. Can't tell a difference in the audio, but it's stable that way. Okay. Another setting right below that is called perspective. By default, it's set to drummer. You can set it to audience if you want to. I just leave mine set to drummer because it really doesn't matter. I want to mix the audio from the left and right from the way I want to hear it, so it doesn't really matter to me. Below engine, you have scale by default, 100%, obviously, but if you use your screen's kind of small, you can actually set it 75. However, if you got like a big 4K display and you can barely read everything, you can set it to 125, 150, and so on to your choice. Below that is register your serial number and, of course, log out. Alrighty. So I'm not going to show you my serial number stuff because it's the internet. Alrighty. So then, like I said, we have all our core libraries, like I showed you on the previous video. And if you want to, you can click this button down here, and normally it carries you to a web page where it can show you more different expansion packs. And I think I have almost every one of them now because, well, last week they was happening to be running a sale. When I went to double check them, they're 68% off. So I got like a whole bunch of them really cheap. So yeah, like I said, the good part is about BFD player, even the expansions are pretty cheap. And like I said, I got 4 basically for like less than $50 last week. 4 expansion, $50. That's a good thing about BFD player. And like I said, it's pretty decent overall. All righty. So that being said, at the top here, we have our show or kit view. Then we have our mixer view, like I showed before. And we also have show groups, or grooves view. They call it grooves. It's basically your beats and stuff. And you can preview them here. And I'll preview one of them for you here. Let me find a course here. Okay. Now, what's really great is if you like this one and you actually want it, now you have option to drag it down here right below it. And there's a small little timeline section and you see it here. I don't like using that, especially since I already have Bitwig Studio, and I'd rather just take that, say like course 01 over here, just drag it directly onto the thing. Now they ask me if I want to adjust my tempo. I'm going to click no because I don't want it to. But now that it's over here, and I can click and play it. All right. Now I already have some bass going too, so I wanted to show you that in a minute. But like I said, you can pull that right over to the what do you call it, the scene section. And that's where you can keep all your patterns and stuff when you're building up. So it's really nice that you can do that. And so you don't have to remember a whole bunch of patterns, but if you got extra ones like I do, I keep extra ones like Wu-Tang's, lo-fi stuff, and trap, and other 80 pop ones, and my basic beat for most of all my song stuff right here at the bottom. But like I said, got all these other grooves and stuff to help you build your own beats and stuff out. It's really handy because a lot of times when you're wanting to make songs and stuff, you're trying to get out the best possible quality song in the shortest amount of time before you get bored of it. So yeah, this is really nice, especially if you're trying to do like a good feel or something in, and you really want to know, well, how do they actually do that feel? Well, they got plenty of examples here. You can just drag them straight over. And if it ain't exactly the way you want it, well, you can customize it. Like I said, if I click on the 80s right here, and I pull this up, as you can see, they're all down here. Now it does pose like a 1/64 or 1/32 note. So they're really small. The little yellow notes you see down at the bottom. Yeah, that's them. That's all the beats and stuff. Like I said, we can play it right quick, and you see the let's go up. Pretty simple, pretty easy. All right. Like I said, that's the snare right there, and that there on the B is the kick. That's the snare. These others, let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's the hats. Yeah. So, I don't know why they keep them so separated. I would have put them all on the same octave, but still plays the same. Alrighty. Now, I mentioned before, when setting everything up, the good thing is about having sequential and running out is that now you can gate them and stuff. And let me mute that bass because I don't want to hear the bass right now. Let me mute that one. Come back over here. I'll play the 80s again. Like I said, I have a compressor on the top here. Probably not going to hear a big difference. It's pretty low compression. But then I have a soft clipper. And you can hear the bass drum. I have a hard clipper here. So yeah, you can finish fine tuning. Now you'll especially hear it here on the snare. Okay, you can definitely hear it on the snare. And let me put a gate on the snare now. As you can tell with my gate, it cuts out a lot of that extra ring at the end, which was very popular back in the 80s. All right. So yeah, that's another great reason to have it sequential and stuff. All righty. Now let's pull the BFD player back up here. You double click on it. There it is. And if you want to get to your own presets and stuff, BFD player, BFD, Joey drums, BFDP. All right. And let me see here. Pull this one, open it back up. Wonderful. All right. So yeah, now, how do you change your drums out? All right. Let's click on the hi-hat here. All right. If you click on it, you can hear it. All right. Now, one of the downsides to BFD player is you are limited to the amount of drums you can have. You can only have a basic set, which is what it is here. One snare, one bass drum, 3 toms, and a couple of hats and stuff here, and brass. All right. So when you go to actually want more, you can't add another snare. You can't add 2 more toms, which is the biggest annoyance for me. I don't mind having one snare and and I don't use that much brass and stuff because normally just a hi-hat, maybe a ride is but what I use the most. But yeah, you can't have 5 toms. So if you're looking for that, and that Phil Collins do 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 do, for like the song "In the Air Tonight," you're not gonna do it this set. That's kind of one of the reasons I got BFD 3 and upgraded over BFD player. But it's like I said, if you're interested in a video comparing BFD player to BFD 3, let me know down in the comments, and I will make one of the video. Like I said, I use both fairly extensively, and there's pros and cons to both. But you see, I actually have BFD player code up here because I use this one the most. There's a reason for that. Like I said, don't want to get into it this video, but if you're interested in wanting to know that, all the basic comparing them both, please let me know. And like I said, I'll be happy to make a video about it. All right, back on topic. Let's say we wanted to change the hat here. You didn't like this hi-hat. It kind of gives you your description here. It says, tells you what it is, Pastiche signature hi-hat. Bright, crisp, powerful. And sometimes you'll have multiple options here. But sometimes you just click on here. And each time you get like a different one, I could go to a Zildjian here. Zildjian, 16. And let's try that one. And now, that's part of your kit. Matter of fact, this Tama bell brass here wasn't originally part of this original kit. I just didn't like the snare that comes with the kit. I'm very lenient when it comes to all the other drums, but I am very picky when it comes to snares. So, like I said, if you don't like that one, you go back over here with Dark Mahogany, or was the jazz ones, Pop Essentials. Yeah, the Pastiche signature hi-hat. Was that the one we was just using? I think it was. Yeah, That sounds wonderful. I like it. Like I said, there are also other ones, other Zildjian, Dark Copper, BFD Player, Metal Essentials, a past you one. Yeah. Got different sound ones that tells you deep, solid, medium decay. And some of them I actually noticed here can give you multiple options. Like, for example, on the tom here, if you pull up this one, some of these kits may have multiple toms with it. Oh, like the BFD Player Dark Copper has a Sonor signature snare as well as a Q Drums County, a company brass snare. I'm not a drum person, so forgive me if I get the names wrong. But yeah, so you get different options here. Like I said, you can mix and match your own set, but they don't give you a lot of options when you actually get the player ones and stuff. You basically, like I said, might get one, maybe two different ones in the kit. But yeah, you can mix and match your own set stuff when you buy all the other expansions and stuff. But yeah, that's how to set up your own. And you got different browsers here. Like you can also browse them if you want to. Manufacturers, that's the option. But materials, yeah. So it's got the option stuff that go through and look at each one of them. And I think you can even, yeah, you can preview them, see which ones you like. So yeah, that's pretty nice to have. Now, I mentioned side chaining the bass multiple times in this video. And that's what I really want to show you. And this is not a video on side chaining. I've already made one. It's if you want interested in it, I'll link it down in the description. But here we go. For example, let me unmute this one. The reason I wanted it labeled, not that one, but I do want this one, is when I'm actually playing. Let me play this here. Go to pre. It's on M1 pre at the moment. If I go up, say pads, drums, and I go to BFD Player chains, if I go to M1 kick here, and I go to M1 kick pre. So yeah, that's what I got it set to, M1 kick pre. That way it's going in and side chaining to my bass guitar and ducking it. So yeah, that's the reason I want it labeled. That way you're not guessing and stuff. But like I said, I only just labeled the kick. So anyway, that's basically it. I'm basically using BFD Player. It's fairly simple. Isn't a lot to the program. You can drag and drop your own little presets and stuff over. Now, if you don't like the sound of the ones that come in BFD Player, but you still like the patterns overall, they're just not exactly for you, you can customize them and save your own. If you right click on it, go down to the very bottom, save launcher clip to library, you can actually save that one, and there it is. You can save your own custom one and save your own drum patterns and stuff. So that's it on this tutorial on BFD Player. It's pretty simple, and I hope you found it helpful. Okay, everybody, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. Please feel free to join us on Discord, Facebook, and X. And if you can, please consider becoming a Patreon member. Also, if you're interested in what gear I use, those and all the other links can be found down in the description below.